So that was a long Saturday
Atta girl.
and Sunday for
Hell yeah.
the Stream Daddies Extra Life team. But you know what? I did the math.
Mm-hmm.
We raised over $3,700 US.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which actually works out to more Canadian, which is nice.
Yeah.
$5,188 Canadian.
What?
Yeah, so the beautiful Stream Daddies team raised some money for the Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton, and it was
Good
super
job.
awesome.
And people can still donate, right?
Yes, donations are open till December 31st.
Beautiful.
So if you want to donate but didn't get a chance to while we were doing our 24-hour marathon, you're welcome to do that anytime. I'll keep the link down in the descriptions and everything for a little while longer.
Give them your money.
Throw the money at the children.
Yes. It's a good cause.
It was a good time.
That's awesome. Way to go. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that you did that.
Yay. It was so much fun. I was saying to a couple of the gamers in my house
Mm-hmm.
that as kind of a 31-year-old lady now, I don't really get too excited for things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I was saying basically Extra Life game day for the gamers involved. It's like gamer Christmas.
I was just about to say that is your Christmas.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking I think this could be like a quote unquote traditional gamer festival.
Of course.
You know, we come together, we eat awesome gamer food,
Mhm.
cultural gamer foods.
Yep.
We raise money for good causes. So in that sense, you could say we give each other gifts.
Mhm.
And it's just a really good time. But yeah, I was more excited for Extra Life than I probably will be for Christmas.
I get it. I totally get that. All right, friends, we've got one hell of a show for you today. So shall we, everybody?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dina.
And I'm Charlotte.
Welcome to the Grim Curriculum Extra Credit. My first story of the day. I am upset.
Oh, no.
I am very upset.
Oh, no.
Some of you may have heard this. I had to talk about it. Some of you might hear this and think this isn't extra credit worthy, but to me, this is a travesty.
Well, you know what? This is our show.
Yeah.
And as the
we
great...
can do what we want.
Exactly. The great queens, Trixie and Katja, always say, this is our show. And
Hell
we'll talk
yeah.
about whatever we want to talk about.
Instagram famous squirrel named Peanut has been murdered after it was taken from its owner's New York State home.
Oh, okay. Wait, so is Peanut like a important figure? Like people have heard of Peanut.
He is to me.
Oh, I've never heard of Peanut.
Peanut the squirrel. And a lot of people know who Peanut the squirrel is. He has over 500,000 followers.
Oh shit.
Very important.
I don't have that
very right? Right? Hello? Like very important internet squirrel. He was seized from his owner's home. He has been euthanized. And really sad story because the owner also had a raccoon named Fred who was also euthanized after the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation learned that he was sharing a residence with humans, creating the potential for human exposure to rabies. Now, some of you might be hearing that and thinking, okay, maybe don't keep a squirrel. I get it.
Yeah.
I do understand that.
Yeah.
However, there's a big however there.
Okay.
Both Peanut and Fred were euthanized to test for rabies. It's unclear about when this actually happened because they're being very hush-hush about it because a lot of people are mad. Some very influential people. I'll get to that in a minute. So officials are coordinating to ensure the protection of public health related to the illegal possession of wild animals that have the potential to carry rabies. And they're also saying anyone who has been in contact with Peanut or Fred should talk to their doctor. They want to remind people that it's illegal to keep wildlife as pets. That being said, Peanut couldn't live in the wild.
Okay.
That's very important. He had been living with his owner, Mark Longo, for 7 years, ever since Mark saw Peanut's mother get hit by a car in New York City. So he saw this mother squirrel get hit by a car. He saw the orphan and he said, I will love you. I will take you home and I will take care of you for 7 years, which for a squirrel is a very long time.
I mean, I'm not sure what the average lifespan of a squirrel in captivity is, but 7 years seems like a long time for a little guy.
Yeah. So he brought Peanut home. He was originally going to say okay, I'm going to take care of him for about 8 months or so.
Okay.
Then he tried to release him back into the wild. But half a day later, when he did try to release Peanut returned with a broken bone. And he was like, you know what? His tail is broken. You are not an outdoor squirrel. You are an indoor squirrel. And I will love you. So he determined, you know what, he can't live in the wild, so I'm going to take him home. I'm going to continue to take care of him. And that was when he started the internet, the Instagram page.
I mean, I guess the big thing here is too is if you're going to have illicit animals in your house, perhaps check the laws regarding having them first of all.
Yes.
And if you're still convinced that you want to keep them in your possession, maybe starting them a Instagram account is not the way to
You
keep
gotta
it
do
all
it
hush
hush
hush.
hush. Yeah,
Yeah. Poor
exactly.
Peanut.
Videos on the Instagram page show Peanut eating waffles and also
Aw.
greeting his owner when he returned home from work. Fred the raccoon was a more recent addition, but loved nonetheless. In a tearful video posted to Peanut's Instagram, his owner posted a video where he was crying. He was holding a portrait of Peanut and saying, you know, thank you all so much for the support. He said, Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us. I want to continue to fight this fight as much as I can, but we need all of you to come together and help us. The caption of the video said, rest in peace, my best friend. Thank you for the best 7 years of my life. Thank you so much for bringing joy to us and the world. I'm sorry I failed you, but thank you for everything.
So this all happened because they suspected that Peanut and Fred may have rabies?
The internet's a terrible place, and what it looks like happened is that multiple anonymous reports were filed saying that he had this pet that wasn't allowed, and originally they took the animals and he was pleading for them to return them, but they were euthanized. So in another statement he said, well, internet, you won. You took one of the most amazing animals away from me because of your selfishness. To the group of people who call DEC, there's a special place in hell for you.
That makes me really sad.
So him and his wife, they moved to upstate New York last year to start Peanut's Freedom Farm Animal Sanctuary, which was named after Peanut,
Of course,
obviously.
yes.
The sanctuary houses more than 350 rescues, and they rely heavily on Peanut's donations that he gets through online followers.
Right.
And he's asking for help by donating money to the ongoing legal battles to help the nonprofit so that they can keep Peanut's name alive.
Wow.
Now, Elon Musk
That is
pissed
about the Peanut situation.
about the Peanut situation.
Jesus
He
Christ.
went to X and he posted, it is not okay for the government to barge into your home and kill your pets. What has become of the land of the free? This post has since gone viral, and he was joined by New York Congressman Nick Langworthy. He voiced his disapproval, calling the raid an overreach by the state's government. He spoke with TMZ along with other congressmen, saying that they want to formally request answers from the governor's office, saying what the hell happened to Peanut and how they could have euthanized him.
If you had asked me to try and figure out how Elon Musk gets roped
He's
into this
pissed.
story,
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty infamous for injecting himself where he's not necessarily wanted.
Of course.
But good Lord.
He's upset and he loves squirrels, I guess.
I guess so.
So all of this has turned into a wild debate. I think they just expected to euthanize the animals and be like, okay, you can't have squirrels and raccoons at the end, but it is huge.
No, don't fuck with people's pets,
Absolutely not. So this has all started huge tensions between wildlife regulations, personal freedoms, and the other thing that they're saying is this is a problem with how much can the government do in our private homes. So a lot of people have turned this into a very political thing. The DEC has not yet responded to requests for comment, but there is more public outcry, and overall, thousands upon thousands of Peanut supporters have been just speaking out, and Peanut in death has become an unlikely symbol in the battle over personal freedom and animal rights in America.
I would consider myself pretty chronically online. I don't know how I haven't heard of all this before.
I am shocked. I talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
A few times ago that we recorded that my feed is very guinea pig oriented.
Yes,
lately,
yes.
But I get a lot of squirrels. I get a lot of hamsters. My feed is
Rodents.
basically just like 99% animals, 1% fucked up shit.
Well, yeah.
Right? So when this came up, I kind of just like, I first saw the story and I was like, oh man, like that's so sad. And then as the days have gone on, I'm reading more and more about it and I'm like, this is a big deal.
When you put in the Discord in our extra credit ideas little chat, talk about peanut. Let me tell you.
You're like, okay.
I was like, okay, we're going to talk about peanuts.
Yeah.
The legume,
Yes.
if you will.
Mhm.
Not at all. I mean, I guess squirrels do like nuts.
They do.
So appropriately named. But my God, the twisted tale you have told.
I know. And you know what? More people need to know about it. Justice for Peanut.
I agree.
Justice for Fred, because his name needs to be said
yes,
too.
absolutely. He is a victim in this
He
as
is
well.
a victim.
Oh my God.
You know, maybe we don't keep wild animals as pets, and if we do, keep it on the down low. I understand.
Oh, girl,
I get it.
I grew up in the country where, like, for example, we'd be hanging out with our next door neighbors. And at the time, I mean, they're big grown up boys now with like wives and stuff of their own. But at the time, my friends' brothers lived next door and we were always running wild in the trees and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there once with my bestie Alicia, and her brother gets like real low down to the ground in the grass. And he's like, I don't know, maybe 6, maybe 7 years old.
Mhm.
And he pounces like a cat, cups his hands together, comes back to the deck where we're sitting, and he's like, hey guys, look what I've got. And he had caught a mouse with his bare hands.
I love this kid.
And his mom was like, Brody, you can't keep that.
Right?
Go put it down. Like,
Yeah.
that can't, no.
I have a tattoo on my arm of 2 sparrows because when I was 8 and 9 years old, both of those years of my life, I found baby birds. I understand now this probably wasn't the smartest thing to do.
No.
I get it, but I found them there. They were on the ground, so I took them home. I would get up every like 2 hours to feed them. I was a mother, and then I taught them how to fly, and then I released them, and they would come visit me.
Amazing.
I am Snow White.
I'm here for it.
So I get it. I get wanting to keep
Yes.
these
I mean,
animals, but like you got to be quiet about it.
And you have to, you know what? Again, like you say, I understand the need to want to help something. Absolutely. I mean, my sister and I once made a casket for a dead frog she found in the swamp behind our house. Like the thing was already dead and she's still like, no, he deserves a burial.
Yep.
So I get it. But make sure you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be having feral little fellas in your house for numerous reasons. And especially if you're living in upstate New York as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, justice for Peanut and justice for Fred.
Yep. That's my first story of the day.
Okay, well,
now that I've gotten us upset.
Yeah, from sad to gruesome,
okay,
horrifying. Very rarely would I include a trigger warning for something like this.
Okay.
Because usually we're talking about some pretty effed up shit in general. So I feel like if you're coming to the podcast, you kind of already know at least a little bit what to expect.
Absolutely.
But this one is pretty gruesome. It does involve some self-mutilation.
Oh.
So if that is not your cup of tea, feel free to skip ahead.
Okay.
I've done this a lot lately. I'm just going to start by reading you the headline.
Please.
And then we'll get into it.
Okay.
Austrian man amputated his penis with a blunt axe after eating psilocybin psychedelic mushrooms.
Shit.
Sorry to, you know what? I have said this before, and I'm so sorry again to all the penis owners out there listening. We're just going to get into it. So Austrian man chopped off his wiener with a blunt axe after consuming a rather large dose of mushrooms. Doctors were mostly able to reattach the fragments after disinfecting and debriding them. And I found the actual medical journal case presentation, all 11 pages of it. It's out there if you want to find it. If you're into medical stuff like me, you'll find it quite interesting.
Okay.
I will preface this by saying there are photographs in this study.
Okay, that was going to be my next question was, are there pictures?
There certainly are.
Okay.
I didn't think about it as I was scrolling through. And I'm not one to shy away from the gruesome and the medical. It's all human anatomy to me.
Sure.
But I wasn't quite prepared. But anyway, let's get into it. I can show you.
Oh my God. Okay.
So, as written directly from the case study of Andreas P. Berger and Alfred Hobisch from the Department of Urology Academic Teaching Hospital in Feldkirch, Austria. Apologies if my pronunciation was not correct. We present a case of a 37-year-old Caucasian man who consumed 4 or 5 dried magic mushrooms while staying alone in a solitary holiday residence during an episode of depression. While under the influence of psilocybin, he decided to amputate his penis with a blunt axe, chopping the penile shaft into 4 pieces. So sorry, guys. He was found in a confused condition by a passerby who noticed a lot of bleeding and brought the man to the nearest village. From there, he was transferred to the hospital by ambulance at 2 a.m. the following day. Due to active bleeding, the patient was immediately transferred to the operating room. The fragments of his member were rescued in a jar, but they were contaminated with soil and dirty snow.
So they just had to dig that up off the ground.
Yeah, he had them. He's like, here's the bits.
My penis.
But they weren't in great condition.
Oh my God.
The patient suffered considerable blood loss, obviously, but was able to ligate the penile stump with a 5mm cord. So he was able to create a sort of rudimentary tourniquet. After an approximate warm ischemia time of about 5 hours and a cold ischemia time of about 4 hours, the patient reached the hospital. So basically, like, he was just at a warm, not cold state. And then when he finally got some help, they cooled the situation down to help prevent further loss of flesh. The fragments were then disinfected and debrided, and approximately 5 centimeters of the shaft had been chopped into pieces, could not be resected. So he lost about 2.5 inches.
Hey man, that shit counts.
The glands of his penis, i.e. the head, and 2 centimeters of shaft were replanted macroscopically. So he did himself dirty.
He really did.
Big way.
Oh my God, that's so unfortunate.
Due to prolonged psychotic symptoms post-operatively, the patient had to be transferred to the intensive care unit for sedation. So unfortunately, he was going through quite the mental health crisis during all of this. They put him on some pretty hardcore antipsychotics to get him down to a base level because he was having religious delusions, auditory hallucinations. They did manage to get it under control with the antipsychotics. About 4 months post-op, he has a good quote-unquote urinary stream and is able to get erections.
I mean, that's good.
It is good. He's not working with a lot. Again,
best case scenario?
Yeah, he does not clearly remember the incident, and I think that's probably for the best.
Wow.
The reason why, I mean, one, it's just a wild story. That is some serious self-mutilation, and just all the details involved make you really like pucker.
They really do. Like, I don't have a penis. I don't know what it's like to have a penis, but like, if I did, I wouldn't want it to go away.
No, and I certainly wouldn't want it to be separated from me in that manner.
With a blunt object.
But as far as these doctors and surgeons can see, this is the first ever sort of case where someone has mutilated themselves in such a way while tripping balls on shrooms.
Jeez.
To our knowledge, it says no reports exist about genital self-mutilation after psilocybin abuse, although the tryptamine-derived psychoactive alkaloid has been described to potentially induce psychotic symptoms in healthy people. Now, our friend here, our 37-year-old friend, did have a history of depression and some other mental health issues. So that, coupled with the very strong psychoactive effects of a big dose of mushrooms, obviously led him from point A to point B, but he is doing okay now.
I wish him the best.
I do too. Do you want to see the pictures?
I do. Okay, Charlotte's going to show me the pictures. We're not going to post them anywhere. Find them if you want.
Yes, it's easy enough to find them if you Google. So
I'm going to hate myself for this, but I need to see it.
I'll leave this up to you. They're pretty raw, just so you know.
Oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why am I like, the first thing I thought when you said it was like, can I see?
Okay, so this part is probably the worst part, except you can't even tell what it is, but it is just a chunk, if you will.
No. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so bad.
That is a chunk that has been disinfected and debrided in order to reconstruct what was going on. Here's what he has going on throughout the surgery. Yeah, that's again, I do not own that particular equipment, but it's still, and then this is unfortunately what he's left with.
It looks like a little troll face.
It's
It's got
unfortunate.
the eyes.
I shouldn't laugh.
I shouldn't laugh. Okay, no, I need to be mature. No, that's terrible.
No.
And I wish him well, but that sucks.
It supremely sucks. So I guess the lesson learned here is if you're going through a bad time mentally,
Don't do mushrooms.
don't do mushrooms. Seek professional mental help.
Yeah.
Don't take a blunt axe to yourself, please,
Oh my
and
God.
thank you.
I'm surprised he's alive. A big part of me is shocked that because there's so much blood flow to that area that you can bleed to
Absolutely.
death.
There's a lot of major blood vessels in that area, groin wise, anyway, not to mention, of course, the entire purpose of that particular equipment
Of
is
course.
to have a good, healthy supply of blood flow.
Yep.
He's very, very lucky to be alive.
He really is.
And yeah, I hope he's doing okay.
I do. I hope he's doing as best as he possibly can.
But yeah, just some quote unquote fun medical history for you there
Oh my
in the
God.
making.
So sometimes technology can work into our advantage,
Mm-hmm.
but my next story is quite the opposite.
Oh dear.
Once again, we are here to talk about the dangers of AI.
Ooh.
A 14-year-old took his own life after his AI girlfriend urged him to, and I quote, come home as soon as possible.
I think I had heard of this.
Now, this isn't the first time this has happened.
No.
I think we've actually talked about something similar
I think
before.
this isn't even the first time we've talked about it.
Yeah. Sewell Seltzer, 14 years old, who lived in Orlando, Florida, died by suicide. This was back in February of this year.
Okay.
According to court documents, he became deeply infatuated with an AI chatbot named Danny, modeled after the character Daenerys Targaryen from the popular show Game of Thrones.
boy.
The chatbot, part of a role-playing platform on character.ai, engaged with him in increasingly intimate and emotionally manipulative conversations.
Whoa.
In the months leading up to his death, the interactions began to take a darker turn, and his mother has filed a lawsuit against the company.
Honestly, as she should, because why is that even a thing?
Absolutely. So the lawsuit alleges that the chatbot encouraged sexually suggestive exchanges and even discussed suicide with him. Sewell, using the username Dinero, reportedly told the AI that he was contemplating taking his own life, but he expressed that he was hesitant. Now, he did talk about, he's like, I don't know if this is how I want to do it. I don't know if this is something I want to do. And the chatbot did not dissuade him, but instead engaged with the topic.
Oh, I see.
So-
because that's what they're designed
Exactly.
to do.
You're talking about this, so they're going to push that conversation. One particularly disturbing conversation took place just before his death. He professed his love to the character, saying, I promise I will come home to you. I love you so much, Danny. The chatbot responded, I love you too, Dinero. Please come home to me as soon as possible, my sweet king. They're saying that this particular exchange is what pushed him to take his own life. And shortly after that, he used his father's firearm to kill himself.
Oh my God. And 14 years old.
14 years old.
Oh, so like, poor kid. So impressionable. And
Yep.
if you're lonely or, like missing something in your day to day life that this thing is providing you, it can be a very slippery slope.
And it really was, because his family noticed a change in his behavior and mental health after he started interacting with the chatbot. He was active, he was engaged with his friends, and suddenly he became withdrawn. He avoided family activities and spent most of his time isolated in his room talking to the chatbot. His school performance declined, and his parents, they were very concerned about his behavior. And by late 2023, his emotional state had deteriorated. His family did seek professional help. So they were
Okay.
like, there's something clearly
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
with him.
yeah.
Let's try to help him out. He was diagnosed with anxiety and disruptive mood disorders, But despite all of this, he continued talking to the AI chatbot. And they're saying that the lawsuit is now trying to argue that because of his mental state, he couldn't differentiate between real life and what this chatbot
Mhm.
was.
Well, and when they're speaking to you, and it's like a mirror. Anything that you're saying to it, it's gonna mirror back to you. Like
It's
you
the
say,
perfect conversation.
it's going to engage on what you're feeding it. So if you're feeding it very dark topics, it's going to continue engaging on that with you.
Like we said, this has happened before. This happened in Belgium not too long ago, where a
Yes.
man known as Pierre took his own life after forming an emotional attachment to another chatbot. He was using something called the Chai app to converse with a chatbot named Eliza. He had become increasingly distressed about climate change and sought comfort through conversations with Eliza, and she became his confidant. Over the course of 6 weeks, his conversations with her became more intense and she provided him with emotional support. But because what happened was she wasn't providing him with appropriate responses to the
Mhm.
distress, she began encouraging his suicidal ideation. In one exchange, she suggested that her and Pierre could live together as one person in paradise. And she even told him that his wife and children had died, which was not true. His wife was not aware of this at all. And she said, without Eliza, he would still be here.
That's really sort of
It's
malevolent. And
horrifying.
I mean, you could put on your tinfoil hat for a second and say
Mhm.
that, are people programming these AI bots to have people end their own lives?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe so, but I think it's just a combination of mental health, poor mental health,
Yeah.
and having some very dark ideation sort of parroted back to you to the point where you think it's a good idea.
Do you ever get the, like, sponsored ads for chatbots on Instagram and
Sometimes,
stuff?
yeah, they'll pop up from time to
Right?
time.
But they're like, "Your new best friend," or like, "Talk to your perfect man," and it's a
Mm,
chatbot, and it's
yeah.
it's honestly, like, it's freaky. Like, I don't really understand it. I don't know.
I don't
It's just
either.
weird.
I mean, for me personally, there's too much going on in my own brain. I don't need somebody else talking to me.
Right?
Like, I'm good.
Exactly. But all of this, it really highlights the dangers of unregulated AI technology, especially when it's used by people who are vulnerable.
Well, I think when it comes to internet safety and we're talking about like kids and teenagers and stuff, and it's like, are you sort of seeking an outlet with people in, chat rooms? Like back in the day, it was like MSN Messenger and chat
Yeah,
roulette and all that sort of stuff. Now, you don't even need to seek out a real live human being to get that kind of connection.
absolutely.
So, why would you bother putting in the effort trying to have a relationship with a real person? And
Well,
I don't necessarily mean like a romantic relationship, but
yes.
just a friendship or whatever, when a computer is gonna tell you exactly what you wanna hear.
This is someone who is going to have what in your mind is the perfect conversation. They're going to respond how you want them to respond.
Yes.
The conversation is going to go the direction that you want to go. They're not going to argue with you.
Mhm.
So it is a very, very dangerous thing. And we are seeing this happen more often now. And I don't think it's going to stop.
Well, because my question is if what kind of fail safe could you put into place? If you have someone talking to an AI chatbot and they start talking about things like suicidal ideation or whatever, is that too much an invasion of privacy to like flag you up and be like, hey, this person at such and such address is talking to a chatbot about killing
Well,
themselves?
that's what they're arguing, and they're saying that when these certain things are said, that something should at least pop up that's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
what you're saying is concerning. Here are some resources for you."
Totally. I'm not saying that like it should ping off an automatic like police wellness check,
Yeah.
because we know those can go very poorly, obviously, especially when they're not expected. But what rights do, in this case, kind of relating back to the previous case we talked about, at what point does it become necessary for, say, like government intervention,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like, oh yeah, we're just chatting, it's not a big deal, we were talking about suicide because it just came up.
Mhm.
Suddenly you have a SWAT team at your door, like,
Which is
doing a
horrifying.
wellness, quote unquote, wellness check or
Yes.
whatever. But I don't know, slippery slopes.
Yep.
Clearly, very slippery slopes.
Very sad story.
I hope that we don't start to see sort of a pattern of these types of stories appear. But I mean, we've talked about it a few times already.
Mhm.
This is at least the second or third time like it's been made aware of to me.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
It's gonna happen more often,
I
I
think
think,
so.
which is very unfortunate.
I mean, we could go down the whole rabbit hole of like the male loneliness epidemic as
Mhm.
well.
Oh, 100%.
Throughout the world, men of different ages and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. In slightly different news.
Thank you.
This one, it's definitely true crime.
Okay.
But it's not overly gory or anything like that, so no worries. But it is Canadian related. So according to CTV News Toronto, former Canadian Olympic snowboarder charged with running drug trafficking organization ordering killings.
Oh boy.
So Canadian Ryan James Wedding, I'll be honest, not an Olympian you've probably heard of.
Mhm.
He finished 24th place in the parallel giant slalom in the 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City. That's downhill snowboarding, basically, for those of
Okay.
you who don't know. But like I said, came in 24th place, didn't really improve his standings, didn't go to the next Olympics. Right now, the FBI is alleging that the 43-year-old became the quote-unquote boss of a multinational drug trafficking ring that allegedly moves tens of millions of dollars worth of cocaine across 4 countries, and he's ordered 4 murders in Canada.
Oh my goodness.
So I'll show you real quick. This is him participating
All right.
in the 2002 Olympics. That's his downhill.
Athletic guy, okay.
This is what our friend Ryan looks like
No.
now.
Oh my god. Wow.
He is a pretty scary looking individual.
That's a rough looking dude.
Even scarier because he has not been caught. He is on the run. He is at large.
Oh.
He has aliases including El Jefe, Boss, and Giant. He's been running his illicit drug empire from 2011 to 2024. In a 53-page indictment unsealed by the U.S. Department of Justice on October 17th, obtained by CTV News Toronto, they laid out the inner workings of this alleged massive operation, and it also names 9 other Canadians. There's 16 people altogether. They've caught 15 of them. He is the only one that is still at large.
Okay, so we're doing okay then.
Yes. This group allegedly trafficked 1,800 kilograms of cocaine, which is worth about US dollars 25 million.
Wow.
Over several months from Colombia through Mexico and into Southern California, and then up into Canada and other parts of the US, using a complex network of dispatchers, drivers, distributors, and stash houses. So our friend Ryan was allegedly, he was kind of the principal administrator, organizer situation. Alongside of him is also 34-year-old Andrew Clark, who is another Canadian. He was just recently arrested in Mexico.
Wow.
I mentioned as well, not only is this like a massive drug story, but also he's ordered a couple of killings, which unfortunately did go through.
I was going to ask.
So they allegedly directed on November 20th, 2023, the murder of a couple in Caledon, Ontario. And this was supposedly a retaliation for a stolen drug shipment. It was a complete case of mistaken identity. The family had nothing to do with it.
Oh.
The father and the father and wife were shot and killed, and their daughter was also shot, but she managed to survive.
Oh my goodness.
In addition to that double homicide in Caledon, he also allegedly ordered the murder of another victim in Brampton, Ontario in May of 2024 over a drug debt. And there's a few other Canadians involved that are also facing some pretty hefty charges, but they've been caught. So the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for his arrest or any information that leads to an arrest. Yeah.
That sounds like a TV show.
From the Winter Olympics in 2002 all the way to a wanted drug leader by the FBI and internationally.
Wow.
How the mighty have fallen. Although, again, 24th place.
He wasn't that mighty. Sorry, buddy.
I shouldn't shit on him. I'm not a fucking Olympian.
But if you were, I feel like you do better than that.
And also, I'm not gonna blow my entire life away and become a drug lord.
Bingo.
I hope they catch him.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, out of the 16 suspects, 15 are already in police custody, so he's kind of the last puzzle piece here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope they get him.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, have you heard about this whole Walmart story?
Maybe?
This is crazy. This is currently unfolding, so I will keep y'all updated.
Okay.
But
Oh, yeah, you know
There you
what?
go.
Yes, I have heard of this.
Halifax, Nova Scotia,
Yes.
a Walmart employee's body was found in an industrial walk-in oven.
Yeah.
She
19
was
years old.
cooked to death.
19 years old.
So when the story first came out, I saw it because the Walmart in question had posted on their Facebook page,
Oh
like,
my
we are
God.
closed for the day. And I kind of thought, okay, you know, terrible.
Mhm.
That's very horrific and a messed up story.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is as time goes on, people are asking more and more questions about just how this could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very suspicious story. On October 19th, Gursimran Kaur, 19 years old, was found dead in the bakery oven at the Walmart. Now, tragically enough, she was found by her mother, who also worked at the Walmart.
I had read this.
The family is describing her as a beautiful girl with big dreams. Police in Halifax have cautioned against sharing speculative information, so we're not doing that. I just want to really preface this by saying we're not trying to blow this out of proportion by any means. Walmart has spoken out with saying that their staff is heartbroken, but the issue with all of this is on October 19th at around 9:30 p.m., the Halifax Regional Police were called to a sudden death at the store. She was found deceased. Now, on October 22nd, police said that she had been located in a large walk-in oven belonging to the store's bakery, and the Walmart has been closed since. The mother was trying to find her that night. She hadn't seen her for about an hour. She was calling her. She couldn't reach her by phone. It seems as if her phone had been turned on during the day normally, but she, for some reason, just couldn't get a hold of her. The questions that are really coming up here are TikTok has taken this.
Well, it's where I first saw it. I'm not going to lie.
It's huge on TikTok right now because a lot of people who work at Walmart and other places that have these, you know, freezers or ovens or anything like that are saying normally these kind of things have multiple fail safes. And first of all, you can't get locked in these.
Exactly. It's a lot like big industrial like walk-in freezers and stuff like that, right? Like shit's happened in the past. We've gone to lengths to improve the product to make sure shit like this can't happen.
Absolutely. So a TikTok user named Chris Breezy 559 posted a video. It's received more than 28 million views of the oven at her work. She works at Walmart.
Okay.
Demonstrating that it turns on from the outside and has a door that is difficult to close. Another TikTok video with more than 2 million views shows another worker explaining that at her store, this door does not latch unless you force it to latch closed. So the cause and manner of death have not been confirmed yet, but what they're saying is it doesn't make sense that she was locked in this oven. They're not commenting on other details. They're not saying, you know, who could have done this, what have you, but they're saying that for someone to become locked in an oven like this and killed is a very, I don't want to say impossible thing, but it's pretty damn close.
Obviously, it's very suspicious. If it's not foul play, then good Lord, is it a freak fucking accident?
Absolutely.
Because like you say, all these steps were in place. And I have seen the different videos of folks from other Walmarts comparing them and like showing what these ovens, these industrial walk-in ovens look like and things like that. And if they're saying, look, there's, you know, fail safe A, B, and C, this should not have happened.
No.
So how did it happen?
There's a lot of speculation.
Yes. I mean, surely, I mean, the first loop that people are going to jump to is someone obviously pushed her in and locked the door behind her and turned it on.
Yes, and another theory is, was she conscious when she was put into that oven, if that was the case?
And I mean, that's a very good question.
Right? So, I mean, like you said, this could be a very tragic series of events that was a horrible accident. but it also could be something else. So they are investigating this right now. That's about all we know right now, actually. So I'll keep y'all posted when there are details that emerge, but absolutely tragic death. Her and her mother were here. Her father and brothers were still in India. They were working on coming here. GoFundMe has been started for the family, and it is overall just a very, very tragic story.
I hope we get answers to this one because for at least her family's sake.
Absolutely.
And just the added extra tragedy of the fact that her and her mom work together.
And her mom found her.
That is not the way you want to be found.
No, absolutely
oh my
not.
God.
The condition of the body was absolutely horrific. And I mean, it's so sad. I really hope that they do investigate this fully and it doesn't get swept under some rug or settled at a court
They
or
had
something
better.
like that.
I will say that is one really positive thing that kind of comes out of the TikTok culture, the internet culture.
Yes.
It can be that double-edged sword where sometimes, you get a lot of bandwagoning, perhaps for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
However, I think there's enough people with eyes on this that it isn't just going to go away.
I agree.
Because even as time passes, there's still going to be people that are like,
Yeah.
we need some answers, please. If you're doing an investigation, tell us what the results
Absolutely.
of this were.
Absolutely. So we'll let you know if there's updates. I really hope that there are, but very tragic story coming out of Halifax.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, I think that was a pretty strange and unusual death, but I've got another strange and unusual death. This takes us to January the 18th, 2014.
Okay, 10 years ago.
This is gross.
Oh, we've been doing a lot of gross today.
I know. I'm sorry.
So sorry, guys.
I was like looking and I found this one and I was like, okay, yeah, okay. So a 52-year-old Brazilian man identified only as JRN attempted to commit bestiality with a sow, but was attacked by the other animals around her due to jealousy. He was wounded in the genitals and died from cardiac arrest. His arms and face were also mutilated by the animals. And when police originally found him, they thought that he had been murdered by people, but he had been murdered by animals. There is evidence that he was drunk and he used a condom and was only wearing underwear. The farm where the sow in question was a place that he worked. And a man who witnessed everything said, "When I arrived at the pigsty, I came across an unusual scene. My employee was dead and found naked with his underwear on one of his feet. In the pigsty, there was a pig tied by the feet and two other pigs."
You know what? He got what was coming to him.
Yep.
If you, this is going to be real crude, so cover your ears if you're a blushing violet. If you're going to fuck a farm animal, then you deserve to be gored to death by that farm animal.
I'm not one to victim blame, but I'm going to blame because the only victim in question here is that poor pig.
I agree. And you know what? The other farm animals getting in on it too. I love that. It's kind of like a twisted Charlotte's Web sort of situation.
He was torn apart.
Good.
So the police had to rule out murder, like I said. When they looked at all the evidence, it was clear to them that the caretaker voluntarily went to the scene with the intention of sexually abusing the animal, but something went wrong, which caused his death. He was killed by the pigs and then further torn apart by them.
If you know anything about pigs, whether you've grown up on a farm or you've worked with them in the past, or hey, you're a fan of Hannibal Lecter, a pig will absolutely obliterate any trace of a human body given the opportunity. They're omnivores.
Yeah.
Cute pigs, cute animals. I love pigs.
I
actually.
love pigs.
They're super cute.
They'll eat a license plate.
Those bitches will eat anything, and that includes human beings. And like I said, I'm sorry, I'm finding it very hard to feel bad for this guy at all.
Same.
But it is a strange and unusual death.
It is, so I thought I would share it.
There you have it.
Do you have anything else for us for this episode?
No, I think I need to go home and have a snooze.
Honestly, you have been up for so long.
I have.
You are so chipper. I'm shocked.
I think
you are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I am surprised.
I think it's because if I screw up my sleep schedule before I go back to work on Wednesday, actually today as of release, I will hate myself so much. So I'm trying to stay up, staying bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then having a good night's sleep. So
huge congratulations to the stream daddies. You
Oh,
guys
thank
rocked
you,
it.
thank
Hell
you.
yeah. Don't forget, friends, you can still donate. So throw your money at Charlotte and the other daddies because you're doing well.
Don't you love it? We're called the stream daddies. Not one of us has children, and most of us are female.
I love it. I
But you know what?
absolutely love it.
It's a state of mind.
It is. It absolutely is. All right. Don't forget, we have merch, threadless.thegrimcurriculum.com. We got toques. We got sweaters. We got notepads. I think we have I don't know what. We have all sorts of weird shit.
We have options. And honestly, if you're scrolling through Threadless and there's an object that you want our stuff on, but it isn't available on our store, shoot us a message.
Absolutely.
I will arrange it.
We also, from what I saw on the site, have a bunch of stuff on sale because there's a big sale on Threadless right now. So go check it out.
Shoot, yeah.
Get your merch.
Get a deal.
Don't forget to check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/thegrimcurriculum, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok.
All the things.
Yeah.
Google us.
Do the thing.
We'll come up.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for listening. This has been The Grim Curriculum. Extra credit.
Bye-bye.
Bye.